She bought me a bullet for my birthday.
This bullet is nice though.
Birthday, I think it was birthday.
Damn. Alright, let's go. What it do, good people? It's your boy James, my man T. Will. Welcome back to the Terror Dome. We want to first acknowledge that what we say is our opinion. It's not meant to diagnose, analyze, or solve any problems. Just giving you a different perspective on how to look at things. Today we're going to talk about a big topic with men. It's about accountability. So, let's go. What's up, T?
What's going on, man? How you feeling?
I can't complain. Thanks for coming down again. So, accountability. What does that mean to you?
Well, it can mean a lot of things if you emotionally balanced. To be accountable for your actions. Our parents actually set the standard for that.
Mm-hmm.
When they discipline you, they're showing you that all your actions will get a reaction, whether it's positive or negative. My mom's favorite phrase is, if you do what you're supposed to do, you can do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in school, it was, if you bring home good grades, when you ask me for something, I'm gonna be held accountable for it, because I told you if you bring home good grades, when you ask me, I'll give it.
Mm-hmm.
So as you get older as an adult, it's the same thing. As long as you know what you're supposed to do, you don't have to account for anything. But it's when you start doing the other stuff and it started interfering with your emotional and spiritual growth, is when you start being held accountable for things you need to do, such as taking care of your children, your family, and things of that nature. But for me, accountability is just basically living life in a respectful and loving manner. Try to respect everybody and hold them to the same standards you can hold yourself. So for me, being in, I did get in some trouble in my relationship, and I had to own that. The thing that I did, and after walking in her shoes and figuring out, okay, if this was me, we probably would be together. But it was me doing it to her, and I proposed to her. She said yes, and then the incident came out, and now I'm being held accountable for how I hurt her, and now I have to do that process all over again. And now she wants the big one. She accepted the private, just me and her proposal, but now I have to do it in front of family and friends, and now everybody probably is going to ask, well, why are you doing this over? Mm-hmm. So now I have to be accountable for why we doing it over, and I have to explain why I did it. So our wedding actually got pushed back to 2024.
Okay.
So now I have to explain why the wedding got pushed back.
Damn.
So for instance, we had a cousins night, and we got to talking, and people see that she don't have a ring on anymore.
Uh-oh. So
I had to explain to my family why she don't wear the ring. My sister knew part of it, but she didn't know all of it. My cousins didn't know. So I explained to them that I messed up, and I was on the phone talking to another female in a way I shouldn't have been.
Okay.
Even though we were friends, but some of the text messages went beyond being a friend, and she seen them. I let her see my phone. She went through the text messages and stuff like that. So, so right now, we going through those emotions, and I have to deal with the triggers. Yeah, I have to deal with the triggers. And at one point, my ego kicked in and was like, "Oh, do what you gotta do. If you gonna leave, leave."
That's men's number one defense. Do you?
Right, do you?
When we know damn well we don't mean that.
We don't mean it. So once I started therapy, self-therapy, because we started doing couples therapy, and when I started doing self-therapy, and the therapist told me to stop talking to her with your mind and talk to her with your heart.
Oh yeah.
And then you can start to to understand where she's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So one day she had a blow up about the incident. Something triggered. I don't know what I did, but and when I went and talked to her and we talked, that old OJ song came out. We cried together. Right. So it becomes to the point where if you stop doing the stupid shit, you don't have to be accountable for it.
So let me throw this out. So you brought up some good stuff. So let me ask you this question. Accountability, how important is that? It's going to be a two-part question. How important is it that we hold ourselves accountable to what we do? And also, how does that spill over into accountability in relationships?
Well, for me, the being accountable for yourself and start to understand who you are, so you can navigate your movement. You won't have to be accountable because everything you do is going to be acceptable.
Okay.
So if you're not lying, cheating, bending the truth just to get around, so you won't have to deal with the backlash, you don't have to worry about being accountable. So I'm, like I said, turned 50 this year, just like my man here.
50 in 3 months.
So for me, I had to learn how to be emotionally vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
So, certain things happened in my life that I had to tighten up. So the emotional part of dealing in a relationship is all based on trust. Having a person that you can confide in when you feeling some type of way, you feeling sad, you feeling angry, you feeling disappointed. Those things, as men, we were told that we were not allowed to
Mm-hmm.
display or express because it's a sign of weakness. But as I learned through therapy sessions, that is actually a sign of strength and to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
So if I need help or I just need to talk, or I might need to cry, that's a great stress reliever. But people don't understand,
just to get it off your chest.
Just to get it off you. And me being accountable for my actions, like my children. I have 2 girls and I have a stepson. So my girls are grown. They're allowed to do what they want to do. And they made a decision. The house branch is always out there. It's up to them to grab it now.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't put it out there. And it's ironic that my stepson treats you more like his father than they do. Like the t-shirt I got on, he bought this for Father's Day. And on the back of it says #1 dad.
Oh, dang, sure did.
Wow. So therefore, he's also now holding me accountable without telling me
he has set some expectations.
Right. So now me learning how to communicate effectively without anger or anything like that, to get across to him that it's okay to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay for you to express how you feel. If you don't want to come tell your mom, when we go to the barbershop, you can tell me everything.
Yeah.
The only time I tell your mom anything about our conversation, if you thinking about hurting yourself or anything that's going to bring her pain. But me being accountable is not new because I've always done it. Like, if you got in trouble at home, that's accountability.
Mm-hmm.
If you've gotten punished, you've gotten suspended from school, you've got bad grades, somebody somewhere has always been holding you accountable for your actions. So we choose to ignore accountability, but at the end of the day, God still is the one that holds you to the highest accountability.
I like how you threw that in there. That's that centering point.
Right. At the end of the day, so it no matter what people think about you or whatever, long as you live in your life the way it benefits you and yours, and then you extend to helping other people.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I'm always held accountable for something, coming to work on time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I just, in relationships, it's a two-way street.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had that conversation, like today, the conversation I had with two younger women, they think men should always just put out. And my response to that was, why should I just put out and get nothing in return? Because the physical, after a while, gets old.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not
reciprocating
what I'm doing financially, after a while, I'm be like, I'm come on now. So my thing was to them, I said, look, you don't have to, if I'm doing this, you don't have to do the same thing, long as you showing me appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
That's holding the woman to accountability. You also got to make sure I'm straight. You want me to make sure you totally straight, but you got to make sure I'm straight. And I told her, I said, at the age you are now, how do you know what a man wants? She said, well, I pay attention. Well, that was that for that day.
Yeah.
I said, man, we changed.
We changed quick as the weather
right.
changed.
And y'all always say, y'all want what y'all want when y'all want it. So do women.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to hold each other accountable in the sense that, hey, if this is what you want out of me, this is what I want out of you.
Wow.
If you're not willing to give me what I want, then you need to go find somebody that's going to give that you don't have to give them that thing. So
yeah,
they don't want to. They feel as though we should just always shell out money. That's that mindset that men are supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow.
So with that, here's another spin on that. Communication. How do you bring? Let me back up a second. So I like how you mentioned God, work, yourself, your parents. But we got some dudes who don't, let's just say, came from a raggedy home.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reasons, just wasn't conducive for a positive return on their investment. Where do they get, how do they learn about accountability, and where would you suggest that they get that accountability from if their family structure isn't the proper way?
Well, we see, then it still comes down to trust. Because I know a lot of the young men today really don't trust older men.
Yeah.
Because they've been let down by their fathers, uncles, older cousins. So for them, that's hard because they have to find somebody that they trust and willing to teach them the right way. Teach them things that they need to know. Let them understand it's okay to express your feelings without violence.
Yeah.
And if you notice, now there's 13 to 17 out there getting shot and killed, carrying guns.
They don't have no direction.
Because the direction they got was the one that's 17 to 25 now.
Yeah.
And most of them now are with us at our facility or the other facility.
Or down the street.
Right, at the other facility. And they praising and saluting them when going to jail is not a badge of honor.
Nah.
It's really a disgrace.
It's a sign of defeat.
Yes. You gave up on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand there's circumstances where you had to do what you had to do. It was either
things happen. Exactly.
It happened. Or you was protecting your family or what have you. But when you just randomly out here shooting and killing, especially our women, because she don't want to be with you, you should be held accountable. You should actually be held to the highest, because you killing our lifeline.
Yeah.
You killing our
lineage. We no more without a woman.
Right. You killing our lineage. And most of y'all already on the other side.
Yeah.
So I understand why some young women, let's get this straight. I don't understand why you think it's okay to be out here trying to run with these dudes and then get caught up in that mess. Because I believe it's just my opinion that some of these young women who are getting killed in their cars,
Mm-hmm.
people in home invasions,
Yeah.
are tied up with these dudes who really don't have no balls to stand up and protect y'all.
Yeah.
Because if I know I'm doing dirt, I'm not gonna let nobody know where my family lives. So we have to, first of all, we gotta take back our neighborhoods.
Yeah.
We gotta start. Then after we take back the neighborhoods, then we need help.
Mm-hmm.
We need financial help in our communities to get these rec centers back open.
Mm-hmm.
So these young men and young women can have a place, a safe haven,
Mm-hmm.
where they can go learn. Not just go play basketball, not go play football, no sports, where they can get on there.
Pick up a book.
Yeah, they can go in there and learn about IT,
Mm-hmm.
cybersecurity, 3D imaging. Things that can give them a career before they even get out of high school. Whereas though they have a skill set that could get them a career at 18, 19.
Mm-hmm.
Now, our parents, like my mom was at the post office at 17.
Yeah, I think my mother worked for the federal government, I think 35 years.
Right, so my mom was still at the post office. So they had opportunities, just like Barack said, the days of people getting quality jobs with high school diplomas is over.
Yeah.
Because we got coworkers that been with the state since they was 18.
Yes, indeed. I started when I was 22.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was in and out of the state, but we need avenues. We need not just revenue, but avenues and people in place to actually give the young men foundations. See, we have a foundation. Even we strayed.
Yeah.
You know, we can come back and reset.
Yeah.
A lot of you young men can't reset nowhere. They don't have no
stability.
solid, right. They don't have a solid foundation where they can come. That shit is all mud. That's why they always say they get it out the dirt.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They don't have no
They don't
concrete.
have no concrete, yeah.
Right. We got concrete. Because that's what we
Sinking
said.
sand.
Where we at now? We at
my mother's house.
Right.
And she sleep. Just don't even really care. Ain't worried about nothing.
Right.
Exactly.
Me, I was just over my house Sunday eating lunch with her.
They them good meals too at mama house.
Right. So we these young men only got, like they say, I come from nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you refer to your mother as nothing because you come from her,
yeah,
that says a lot.
You know, it's crazy. So it sounds like self-esteem is a part of that accountability. Like you said, if you feel like you came from nothing, then why am I gonna be accountable to anything? Because I'm nothing.
Right.
Wow.
So on Instagram, this lady who's running for official office said that one particular night, her husband normally helps the children with the homework, but she was feeling a little under, so she didn't cook that night. He did, so they switched roles. So they were studying for some type of ASVAB test or some type of skills test.
Some important stuff.
So the lady noticed that when it came to African American studies, that they said they were possibly slaves or servants.
Mm-hmm.
Like their lineage that's what they were.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, how am I supposed to teach my children that their heritage was great? It was fabulous. It was marvelous. When in school, you're teaching them that they weren't.
They were nothing.
And if she answered a question any other way that you see it, she's wrong.
Matter of fact, I think we were less than cattle.
So when you look at how this society has brought us along and diminished everything, we are now fourth as far as minorities in this country.
Yeah.
So that means we were second
at one
behind Caucasians.
Yeah.
Now we're fourth behind Mexicans and Asians.
Which means somebody's
So
doing
now,
something wrong.
If we trying to get to where they at, we gotta go through two other ethnic groups to get where they at, and we've been here the longest.
We've been here the longest and did the most work. Wow.
So until we get young men and find out the root of their issues, because they can be fixed. Issues can be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Issues can be resolved, and understand their mindset, or why they think the way they think, or why they gotta move the way they move. We're never gonna get to a point where we're going to be close to Caucasians in wealth,
Mm-hmm.
social status. Now, a few of us here and there,
Yeah, we
Like-
spaced out.
like Oprah's an anomaly.
Yeah, she.
Jay-Z is an
Mhm.
anomaly because he
Mhm.
come from the streets.
Yes.
That's an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Perry is an anomaly.
He was homeless
He was
the day
homeless.
his first
Right.
movie came out.
Exactly. So those three,
Should be the standard.
they are standard.
Yeah.
The Rock is a standard.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle is a standard.
Yeah, yeah. They
But-
came from Chicago and to the White House.
And he was a single black man raised by a white woman,
Yeah.
a Caucasian. His mom Caucasian, his grandmother's Caucasian, living in Hawaii.
I knew it was something I couldn't remember where.
So
Wow.
we have positive role models to the point where we should have them in our own neighborhoods,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't anymore because people have became numb to everything that's going on around them. So being accountable, for instance, voting.
Mm-hmm.
When
Come
people,
on now.
When people understand voting is not for right now, it's for the next generation.
Yes.
So when you understand you're not voting for yourself because your grandparents, parents, uncles voted for your situation.
Mm-hmm.
And when they didn't vote, your situation got worse.
It's almost like the trickle-down effect.
Right. So we have to understand that our government does not work for us unless we work. So we should be holding ourselves accountable for how our neighborhoods are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of every time you turn on the news, they blaming Brandon Scott. They
Yeah.
blaming the police commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
They blaming the state's attorney. They blaming everybody else except the people that live in the neighborhoods where all this stuff is happening.
Yeah.
So when we as people start
Holding the neighborhood accountable.
for what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
then it starts to trickle down to the kids. Like, well, how we used to, man, I ain't gonna be able to do that because I'm gonna get in trouble.
What?
And plus, I can't go that far because I gotta hear my mother when she called me.
When we lived in Westport, we couldn't go. I couldn't go no further than
Her
5
voice.
houses up the street.
As long as you
Yeah.
can hear her voice,
And if she looked out that door, and she would be like, Is he up there? Is she up there? Yes, ma'am. And that, she going back in the house.
if my mother stuck her head out the window, called me,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go.
Facts.
So they were then teaching us accountability. So when they bought you your first watch, they was teaching you accountability.
And responsibility.
Yes, because she said, okay, you going out, it's 12 o'clock. I need you to check back in at 3.
Mm-hmm.
You have a watch, so there's no excuse.
That meant quarter of 3.
You should be on your way back
Yes.
to the house.
Mm-hmm.
Not 3:01, not 3:05. I said 3:00.
Military thing. If you're on time, you late.
Yes. So we learned that.
Mm-hmm.
But as time went on, we started losing big mamas too.
Yeah, ain't no more big mamas.
So we started losing great grandmothers.
Mm-hmm.
We started actually losing men
Mm-hmm.
in the family because they were getting older.
Mm-hmm.
And then the children started having children. So the
Yeah.
mothers started getting younger. That means the grandmothers were
Grandmama's 40, mama is 30, is 25, baby is 12. And they all in the same club.
Exactly. So people holding each other accountable inside their home first have been stopped. That's why everybody is basically, especially in our community, is out for self.
Mm-hmm.
Now you might have a few like the community activists, like the churches and the neighborhood guys who come home from prison and
Yeah.
realize, hey, now
Y'all don't really want this.
I applaud them
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, they realize some of the mess that's going on out in the streets,
It's my fault.
they created.
Yes, yes.
And they safe streets. They back out there walking the
Mhm.
streets. You know, and a couple of them got gunned down
Yeah.
because they was trying to intervene in something. But we in our community, we just don't want to hold each other accountable. We don't want to point the finger at ourselves. It is so easy to say it's Brandon Scott's fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's Commissioner fault.
The blame game.
It's always mm-hmm. easy to point at somebody else instead of looking in the mirror and say, you know what, Michael Jackson was right. If I took care of the man in the mirror, mm-hmm. when I straighten myself out, mm-hmm. it's easier for me to go out and help straighten out somebody mm-hmm. else. Because when they see me walk, okay, he did that. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say when you talk to a man who ain't never done nothing or been in trouble, it's fine. Mm-hmm. This is what I did to stay the course.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But I ain't that man.
Yeah.
So when I turn and I look and I see another man living the same way he is, and I talk to him, he's, oh yeah, I've been arrested. I got caught cheating. But after a while, man, I just buckled down, started looking at myself mm-hmm. and wondering why I was doing the things I was doing. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times if we come from toxic, it's easy to go back to it because we're comfortable in it. Mm-hmm. So if you're comfortable in toxic, you always revert back to toxic because mm-hmm. the unknown is always scary.
Yeah, sure.
And we don't understand. We go out there and we try to be vulnerable, and then all of a sudden, that vulnerability, it feels good. And it's like, damn, but that toxic is so enticing that we tend to revert back to it. And I try not.
And we know what to expect. When we do this, we know we can do that. We know how to maneuver
right.
in the toxic. You're right.
Right. So when we get out of the toxic and go into the lily field and it's free and everybody happy.
Rainbows and all that.
And green clovers. We tend to get away from it because we don't know where it's going to lead us. Mm-hmm. And when we understand that it's going to lead us to actually what we always wanted.
Yeah.
And for me, I had to learn, let this woman love on you and accept it, mm-hmm. receive it, mm-hmm. and it'll become easy to give it back. Mm-hmm. So, like she said, I can call you and say, I need $200. It's like, bang. But if I say, can we just cuddle? I'd be like, oh. That's how it used to be, and it's like, damn, can I get a foot massage?
Now in your mind, you gotta be thinking, oh, we should get off me, but you figure, let me just do this for her, because at the end of the day, if I need my car fixed, she gonna take care of it. If I need something to eat, she gonna cook it. Right, so even with accountability, it's some sacrifice in there too, though.
It is,
because you always, as far as relationships, you are accountable for your. It's not your responsibility to make sure your mate is happy, but it is your responsibility to make sure that they are happy. So if you know that she want to cuddle, make a cuddle, right. cuddle with her. You know what I mean? So it's some sacrifice that go along with that accountability. That I think also, like we talked about another show, that being vulnerable and it makes men uncomfortable. When we be starting to cuddle and because it feels good, we don't know how to express it. We don't know. Wow, I'm feeling soft because I like this now.
Right.
And then we right back to the toxic.
Right, but so with me, it was also that I couldn't communicate how I felt. Mm-hmm. Like if she would ask me, "How you doing?" I'm like,
"I'm good."
Knowing that I'm stressing out because
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make more money. It's these bills, this, that, this, and then it's like all I had to do was go, I'm kind of bothered about some things. Just open up to her and make her feel like she's a part of what I'm going through. Mm-hmm. And I think that part of me is what I had to release. I had gotten so comfortable moving as one.
Yeah.
That it's like, what? I'm not. I
don't gotta do that.
I don't really need your help. But at the end of the day, we all need help, mm-hmm. regardless. Jason Wilson had a post on his Instagram page, and it was a father doing push-ups with his son on his back.
Okay.
Which we walk around with our families on our back and
Every day.
and a figuratively type thing, but that's what we do. And at the end of the day, he needed his son to help him. So his son put his feet down and his arms down and helped push his father up. So took the pressure off his father's back. So we need that. So, but we understand, we always took it as, if I don't complete these tasks, is she gonna look at me less than? So we put a lot of pressure on ourselves and hold ourselves to account, to be accountable for everything. But we don't have to. When you have a solid partner that's willing to take some of that burden from you and carry it. So accountability in a nutshell is expressing when you need help, expressing when you're overwhelmed, expressing as a man that you need a hug. That people think it's a joke when, you know, the comedian said, "Oh, that nigga needed a hug." He might have.
He might did that
He
moment.
actually might have saved somebody's life or kept him from going to jail. If somebody would have grabbed him and hugged him and told him, "Brother, it's gonna be
good.
okay.
All right.
You is all right. Release that." But like that whole when we get close to each other, we put the forearm and block. Yo, we really shouldn't be doing that, because that's really like, yo, I really don't want you to touch me, but I'm just not. So when I watch
it's that emotional barrier.
That's exactly what it is. Because when I watch other athletes of color, they hug. Latin, Cubans.
I've seen on movies, French men kiss each other on the cheek.
And it's just what it is. When we hug each other, we need to really just like, yo, it's not a sexual thing. It's just letting you know I'm there for you.
Damn, he's crazy. I'm sitting there thinking about my grandfather, man. I used to hug my grandfather and kiss him on the cheek as a kid. And it's crazy because I didn't think about it just now. Every time I see my grandfather, I'm like, "Hey, Papa," give him a hug, kiss him on the cheek.
And he would not say a word.
And he wouldn't say nothing.
Don't do that.
Nope.
He wouldn't do that. Because that's how we greeted each other. We got away from all those traditions because we were so busy trying to be what white America wanted us. Think about all the things that we had as a culture in America.
That was just talking to yesterday.
Prior to us trying to integrate.
Wall Street, homes, doctors, lawyers,
we had
teachers, everything we needed.
We had schools. We had businesses. We had everything. But certain ones said we ain't gonna be fully together unless we integrate, which is a bold-faced lie.
I hear my mother talk about how, you know, back in her day, you could, if you had problems with school, you could go across the street. If you had some legal problems, you can go up the street. And then she said the same thing. She said once those families got a foothold, they felt like, I don't want my child to be around this drug-infested community. So to better their family, they moved them over to the hills, not realizing you actually hurting the community. Because now there's no accountability. There's nobody that you can go to for help.
So, you know, so just like when they moved the clinics out to our neighborhoods and things of that nature. So just like when we moved into these neighborhoods, and the white folks moved out.
Yes, sir.
Not only did they take the funding, they took the funding with them, and that's what people don't get.
All that rezoning and redistricting.
They take the money when they do that.
I actually voted no for that in this past election. And my mother asked me, well, why? And I said the same thing. When I hear rezoning, and I could be wrong, when I hear rezoning, to me that's saying this community over here is getting a little too strong. Let me move stuff. Because if you moved it over there, it must was a need. What's going on to make you want to change it? And nobody explains that.
Nope. Because if you're not going to balance out the voting map, then you're actually creating disadvantages for
Yeah.
certain neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
So we first have to hold ourselves as a community accountable, because when you look at it, when people look at our community as a whole, they're like, well, they're not even helping each other. So why should I?
If you think about the word nigga, we call each other nigga all day, every day. It's in the music. But then when white people say it, we get pissed. And their thing is,
It's because
y'all say it.
Because if I call it, hey, my nigga, what's
Mhm.
up? That's a term of endearment, and it's the A on it. When they say it's the ER on it. But I'm gonna tell you this: the origin of the word is Niger.
It's Niger. They just couldn't pronounce it.
Right, which meant king.
Mm-hmm.
So they changed it to nigger because they were degrading the kings in Africa.
I mean, I was just talking about how, like you said,
but see, everybody knew the actual origin of the word.
True.
They probably would tell them they couldn't say the word.
But I'm looking at the point where the way we treat ourselves makes it easy for other nations or other ethnics to treat us the same way.
Case in point, found out why our two co-workers can't come back in the back. It was a black woman who pushed it so they couldn't no longer be patient contact. And it's a black man who said they abused the patient. So now they can't go. They can't even leave. They can't even leave the state if they wanted to go to law enforcement somewhere else. They can't leave.
They can't because
that's going to show up. And the way it is now for law enforcement, they don't have record. Even if they got cleared, everybody's gonna look at them as a liability.
Yeah. And the sad part is I need to talk to like one of them because depending on how it's written up.
It's written.
Oh, never mind. Because I was gonna say I had some stuff at Wax's that stayed on my record. I was found not guilty, unsubstantiated.
Was it a state agency?
And it was on there for years. And something I don't know what made me go back and ask about it. And I got the lady who investigated it. She was like, Mr. Evans, I was wondering why you never called to get this erased. I was like, I didn't know. So they was erased. They was able to delete that off my record.
Right.
But this one is written up properly, purposely to do that. They might not be able to get that off.
So we do more damage to ourselves.
Facts.
Even though the damage is done, we have centuries. We have centuries of trauma. Trickle down trauma from generation to generation. But we ourselves kick ourselves in the ding-ding. All the time. And it's like our facility, I say it because of who's at the top.
Yeah, sure.
Who, now that I know it's actually one of us at the very top, and it had nothing to do with the Caucasian man in our facility.
Wow. And see, everybody's blaming that person.
Everybody was blaming him. But come to find out, it wasn't even him. Because once he let it go to court and it got thrown out, he was done with it.
Because I didn't know that it wasn't at the facility level, but nobody told me. But I still assumed it was the white guy pushing it.
She pushed it all the way.
Wow.
And that's what happened to her. She got the burn too. She got the burn.
It's crazy because they, like I said, we hurt ourselves trying to get the proverbial brownie points. And once our damage is done, they get rid of you. It's like, we know no. We need you to get rid of these people. You did it, and our hands are clean, and you took all the heat. And now,
call the gun line boss.
Yeah. Dang, yeah.
The
gun line boss.
Yeah. I was just listening to KRS-One. Whoop, whoop.
That's the sound of the police. Yeah.
So in one of the 16s, he says, black cops don't even realize that they are part of the problem. And guess what happens? Memphis. And guess what they did? All completed not guilty.
Shit, look at Baltimore City when they killed the police in the alley talking about he shot himself. Man, how the hell you gonna shoot yourself?
Right. So accountability has fallen by the wayside by everybody. You'll hear Mayor Brand Scott saying we're gonna hold people accountable for their actions. We're gonna be transparent and all these type things. But in a nutshell, everybody first needs to start holding themselves accountable for their own actions and how they treat themselves, and then how they treat their families, and then how they treat everybody else. So we start treating each other like we want to be treated, like the Bible says.
Yeah.
We'll have less problems out there.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing, think about what they did to our schools.
Yeah.
When they took prayer out of school.
I know I was going to a Christian school. It's called Cathedral Christian Academy. And every morning, first of all, everybody wore the same thing. I think it was burgundy and brown, I think. In the morning, we had a little, I'm gonna call it a church service. But we had a little prayer time. We had different Bible verses we had to recite and all that. And then we went to school. That little bit of church time, it kind of gave you balance. And it showed you where your accountabilities or what you need to be accountable to. It gave you some expectations, some standards.
Yes.
So you're right. When they took prayer out of school, when I left that private school, because I just wanted to be a class clown, and went to public school, I was about dumb as a box of rocks, because I didn't have that enforced on an everyday basis standard level, that accountability. I was no longer accountable to the jacked up school system.
Yeah. So when we dealing with relationships, and we're not just talking about our intimate relationship, we're talking about outside of our homes relationships. We still need to have standards on the type of people we deal with, people we keep in our company, people that even to the point where
in the sanctum,
our facility is toxic. And I walked into another facility Monday, and I didn't feel that toxicity. It was like people were smiling, they was laughing. It's like they was happy to be at work. And I'm pretty sure if I probably went further into the facility, I probably would find somebody like, man, but that's probably just one in a few. I'm stay away from you.
Exactly.
You negative.
I know my first time going to California, I experienced that. From Baltimore, you don't look at the person, you hardly want to speak. We went to Cali, we was in the mall, and everybody was speaking. Everybody, like you said, I'm sure some angry people in there. Even my brother said, yo, these gang members in here now, but they know how to act in this particular mall. I mean, I'm like, yo, why are they speaking to me? He was like, that's what we do. That mindset and that accountability, I'm happy, so I'm gonna make sure you happy. Yeah.
And the only way you become unhappy if you make me unhappy.
Facts.
Like, I don't have no beef with you. I don't even know you. So why I'm gonna dislike you?
Yeah.
Why
I don't even know you.
I don't know you. You didn't do anything to me. So we need to hold our own standards and stick to our standards.
Find some standards.
One. That's why I appreciated my lady for having standards. I'm not going for this, and this.
Yeah.
Am I asking for too much?
Yeah, communication.
Right. No. First, that's ego. When you first say no, it's like
until you realize the ramifications. Go back and drive, and you're like, oh shit.
Is she really asking for too much?
or not ask too much. Am I willing to give her what she's asking for?
So once you make that commitment, now you're held to those standards. Now, when you don't, she said, you're accountable. You said you can do this, or you said you were willing to do this, and it's like, yeah, I did that.
I always say that. It's funny you mentioned that. I always said women notice when a man is doing something he ain't no business doing, because we set the standards of every time we come home. We set the keys on the table, go check the mail, say hi to the kids. We do this for 10 years. All of a sudden, we come home, we set the keys down, we go jump in the shower. Whoa, wait a minute, he ain't speak to you, he ain't check the mail? They start noticing, because we've set standards that we are no longer accountable to. We done deviated and don't. So you're right, man.
A lot of times, like I said, we put a lot of the extra shit on ourselves. We really don't have to. For me, I still have an issue from taking money from my woman. I don't care if it's $20.
Yeah, I do, but I don't. I know what you mean.
It's just hey, I'm like, shit, I need a haircut. I just paid the mortgage. Damn. Look like I'll get a haircut when I get paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she like, when you gonna get your haircut? When I get paid? And that's the, I hear myself go off.
Ding.
And I get that feeling like, I ain't asked you for nothing. I'm good. But it's like, yo, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Think about what you just did. Man, my son got a roof over our head.
We ain't sleeping outside today.
Right. You know what I mean? So I had to start looking at that whole scenario. Like, she was like she said, you like, yo, I drive because of you. We sleep because of you.
Mm-hmm.
We turn on the lights because of you.
Yeah.
The TV works.
Our existence is because you.
When I want to go and splurge a little bit, and I tell you, you like, oh, all right, and you cover the back end. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yo, if I can do anything for you, like if I can do anything for you, I'm gonna do it. Mm-hmm. Like when I grieved my promotion, the lawyer wanted $300. I was like, oh. She's like, oh, I got it. Boom. So I was like, I'm not used to that. Because I'm used to somebody going,
well, so you need $300.
So what you gonna do for me?
Mm-hmm.
What you gonna do for me? I'm like, yo, for real? So she didn't even ask me to give it back to her. Mm-hmm. I did, but
yeah,
she didn't ask me to. She said, we don't do that for each other. So I had to grow up a lot. You know, we always say, "I'm a grown-ass man."
Yeah, a grown man is a figure of speech.
It is. And you have to understand that it's okay to ask for help. Because I'm telling you, the first person I ask for help is, I'll go right to my mom. She's like, what? And I'm like,
facts.
So she be like, why you gonna ask about we in a relationship? I said,
because it's comfortable.
It's easy.
It's easy.
It's easy. She said, but you know your mother going, well, why you da-da-da-da-da? Even though she'll give it to you, but you gotta go through all that.
You gotta go through the rigmarole.
I'm used to that. Toxic.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I never knew that until the therapy sessions. Yeah. That I just would jump right back in the toxic pool, ask my mom for the money. She and then for the next week or two, where's my money? What time you gonna give me money? When you gonna bring my money? I was used to that. Mm-hmm. Then after I stopped and let her be the woman in my life, it became a little easier. But me being accountable for all my actions and things that I do, like right before I came in here, I honestly, until you texted me today, I forgot about it because I was straight going. I was gonna wash my truck, and then I seen your text when I went on lunch. I said, oh yeah, okay. And when I pulled up here, I told her. Normally I wouldn't have. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have told her nothing. I was just came in the house, and she was like, "Damn, I thought you was coming straight home." Oh, I was. By this time, it looked suspicious. Like, oh, I was. So when I pulled up, that's what took me so long to get out of the truck. I texted her, so I forgot about the podcast. He texted me, and I even sent out my location, which I never. I don't know.
But that's how you being accountable to your new agreement from where you messed up at.
Exactly.
You got to reinstate that trust. It's
giving her reassurance and that, okay, he's not out there doing nothing other than what he says he's doing. I sent her my location. She actually know who you are already. So it's something that it's new for me. Yeah. Me telling somebody that I'm doing something.
But it's necessary.
It's necessary to keep the peace in the house. Yeah. And all my life there, I used to hear happy wife, happy life. And then I heard women say, that's not true.
No, not at all.
That's not true because if you're the only one happy in the household, then that means you're getting part of a man. Mm-hmm. Because that means he's not happy.
You don't have an individual happiness.
Right. Mm-hmm. So now he just sitting there, a shell of himself, because all he worried about is if she's not happy.
And the animosity set in.
Then in the discord, and all of a sudden he's not coming home because he's not happy, and you wondering why. And a lot of women won't look at themselves and say, oh, I was the contributing factor to, they won't hold themselves accountable for why their husbands is out on the streets.
Yeah.
Like, true, I don't agree that's the route you should go.
But you played a part in pushing them.
Right, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
When a woman's not happy or she's not getting the things that she needs, you can be upset, you can be mad, you can be hurt, especially if you're not out there doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You find out she was out there with another man who was only just paying her attention.
I always said once I do get married, I want to make sure that whatever my wife asked me for, I had an answer to. Because at that point, if she chooses to step out, you made the decision. I know I looked at my mother and my stepfather. My mother wanted for nothing. They both worked. He made way a lot more money, but she didn't want for anything. And they trusted each other. They was accountable to each other. And like you said, when you start putting accountability in a relationship, whether it's wife, husband, homeboy, friend, when you put accountability in it, it makes that bond that much stronger.
They do, because when you're away from your significant other or your best friend or whatever, and temptation does arise, you be like, no, I'm good. Because you're holding yourself accountable, and then you're living within the person that you're with, because you know that they are trusting you to do right by them.
I had a homeboy asked me one day to lie for him. Well, my sister-in-law, homeboy asked me to lie for him one day. I was like, nigga, I'm not doing that. I said, we ain't you boys, but me and her closer. So I'm not gonna jeopardize our friendship. He called me like the next day. He said, yo, you know what? I appreciate that shit. He said, because by you not covering for me, I had to go home. He said, I appreciate that, because if I had not gone home, I'd have went over here. That just sparked into me liking it. He was like, man, I appreciate that. So like you said, it just makes it that much more stronger when accountability is not just in place but respected.
And if those are your standards, then you're accountable to yourself. Because I don't believe in that, so I'm not going to do that. I don't believe in misleading somebody for somebody else's personal gain. Now, we've all done it.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
Once we learned that, okay, that third party that got hurt by me helping him deceive them, it's like, damn, I didn't know you was going to do that shit. So now it's like, they looking at you like, yo, you ain't Steve.
Exactly.
And you don't ever want to be in a group of ain't shit niggas.
Yes.
That's what you don't want to be in.
Don't want to be in a group.
Right. Like, yeah, girl, he friends with him, so you know if he friends, they know what they doing. You don't ever want
birds of a feather flock together.
Right. And I never like that phrase, because I've been with homeboys who was out there, and they would literally come to my apartment, chill for a little bit, talk to them.
So they not lying. I did go over there.
Right. But the whole time, though, you use me so you can go creep. Oh, you can't do that no more.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, his wife never liked him going out with me. And I had to tell him one day, I said, it ain't me. I said, your husband, he is a grown man. I don't talk him into doing anything. First of all, I don't have a girlfriend. So I can be with whoever I choose.
And I can tell him what I want.
Right. He is the one that's married to you. He's accountable to you, and you to him and his daughter. I don't have nothing to do with that. And that's when she left me alone. Because I said it in front of him. I said, whatever he do out on the street, that's the shorts. That's his shorts. It ain't like you ain't never caught him before.
So now it's like, it's your fault. You keep allowing it.
And you stayed.
Yeah.
You stayed. Not only the girl, and one day he got caught up. He was supposed I come over the crib, I'm messing with the home girl. He come, we out there, she's like, well, we waiting on da-da-da-da. I'm like, oh, all right. I just looked, I'm like, I know where he at. So, next thing you know, she called in the house. Next thing you know, you hear these steps coming up, these feet coming up the steps. Yo, I'm like, I had told him, I said, yo, you can do whatever you so choose. I'ma still be your friend. If you choose to be a husband and a father, I'm gonna be your friend. If you choose to be a co-parent, I'm gonna be your friend. You have to make the decision on how you gonna live your life.
What avenue you want to take?
Either way, we're gonna be friends. But then when he did what he did, and he talked that shit, I said, I don't gotta be your friend. Good day.
Facts.
So we ain't friends. We ain't spoke since.
Damn.
Because at the end of the day, I didn't want his wife to look at me like I was the issue. He's the issue.
Yeah.
So that's who you look at. Like I said, it's easy to point fingers at the person.
It ain't me, it's him. It's them.
It's them. It's everybody else except you and your husband, and the fact that you still living through your mother's words. There's a whole lot going on. But accountability is hard for some people, especially when they're broken. If you're a broken person and you're trying to be accountable, it's hard because you don't have any foundation. Everything that you know or think you know is really hurting you because you don't understand your traumas, your triggers, your things that you think is normal or should be is actually toxic and making you foul up other things in your life. Because even that toxicity spills over into your workplace as well, because you become disgruntled, bitter, and things of that nature. So you have to be careful. And I praise anybody or applaud anybody who say, you know what, I'm gonna go get some help.
Yeah.
Because we all
That's a sign of growth.
Right. We all need that person we can confide in. And like I said, we need men's groups. Like in an academy, circle of trust. We need them. Because the simple fact is, if I can get together with a group of men that I'm close with and just let it out, when I come home, I relax.
You know, that's one thing. I got a buddy of mine, I call him my big brother. Sometimes, because I know he drive truck, he be like, yo, I hit you at 4 a.m. Cool. But he's called me hit me like, yo, I'm gonna hit you, I get in the truck. Cool, I get up. He said, oh, you don't take that off Facebook? I'm like, what do you mean? And then he started getting on me about something I put on Facebook account. And I'm like, you know what? I see your point. Or if I need to call him like, yo, I'm going through something, we'll talk. So actually, it's that circle of trust, man. That's why I like my church. We do a men's breakfast the first Saturday of every month. And the first thing they tell everybody is whatever discussed here, it should stay in. Don't talk to your wife about it unless you talk to that man first and he authorized you to talk to her. Because, like they said, this is where we need to come to get regrounded, to dump, to release, to get out of that frustration and anger. And there's been times where, I mean, it is not often, somebody might cuss, but the pastor be like, okay, because you're getting it out. It's done under the right context of you releasing your frustration. And when we leave, I be like, whew, I feel so much. For one, my stomach full because it's a breakfast. But it's like you can release and you feel so much lighter when you're able to talk to somebody that can just listen.
Give you some perspective or just all around just listen. Like, you know, when we first started therapy and we weren't allowed to rebut anything.
Yo, that's hard.
And it was. Sometimes after our therapy sessions, we didn't talk.
Yeah, because you be like, I want to say this.
Right.
Well, so, you did and I did. Yeah.
So it would be like maybe a day or two later that we would discuss what we discussed in therapy. And then once I started doing individual Bible, like every other Wednesday I do, I was taught how to talk to her, which it progressed because it was like we still couldn't have those hard conversations because it was like I took what she said to me as you, and not listening. I was listening with this and not with this.
Yeah.
And the minute I clicked this off, and clicked this on, I started to hear her saying, we need to do better. We have to help each other be better.
Yeah.
And those conversations became easy. So I told her the other day, I really appreciate you sticking to your standards. Because with you sticking to your standards, made me have to come to your level. Even though I could do part of the list, now I'm able to look at the rest of the list and understand that, okay, if I just do this, this, and this part I can slack up on. It's not slack up on, but not have to concentrate so much.
This has become a routine. I can apply the same energy into what I need to work on.
Which is, for me, it was the affection part. Now, I could do the intimacy, the quiet moments, the nice little dinners and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's easy.
That's the easy part. The spending the money, gifts and all that stuff. But it was just that vulnerability. I was holding on to it because it was like trusting people with it, because it's been balled up and tossed to the side.
Yeah.
And she was like the only one that really made me go and seek for my own accountability for myself, to make myself better so I could deal with her better. So I really do appreciate it, because this right here, what we do, I wouldn't be able to do this. If you'd have asked me like maybe a year ago, yo, you want to do a podcast about this, I'm like, no. It would have been something, no. Because first I wouldn't know how to explain what I'm going through and put it in context where I'm comfortable. You know? So I'd have been like, no. And you probably, knowing you probably would be like, why?
Yeah.
Because and knowing me, that I'd be like, because I don't want to. That's why.
That toxic defense.
Right. Yeah. Instead of being honest with you, like, bro, I really don't know how to express how I feel, or if I even feel comfortable enough, or I even trusted enough to actually be on this type of stuff. But learning how to express how I feel and get it all out, because this helps me actually, because when I go home with her, I literally can have a conversation with her and not feel uncomfortable. And because she was actually surprised the first time I did it. She's like, you did what? I said, yeah, I did it. And then I let her listen to it, and she was like, wow.
This whole topic on account reminds me of the sermon from last Sunday. And the guy used a Play-Doh. Started out with a white piece of clear. He was like, this is how we're born into the world. He started adding different colors of Play-Doh to it. And he said, before you realize it, by the time we take on all these problems, you no longer recognize yourself.
Right.
And then I'm a spin what he said. Then once you start getting grounded, he started adding white Play-Doh on top of stuff. He was like, it comes to a point where you realize all of these issues are not mine. Let me fix it. And then once you fix it, the real you able to come out. So it like I said, it lets you know that with accountability, you have to start with yourself first. A good image and a good solid foundation, working on yourself. That's gonna set the standards of, okay, I like this piece. What do I need to do to keep this piece? That's gonna make the woman, your choice of woman, better. Because if you're not maintaining my peace, you gotta go. Or are you willing to work on maintaining my peace in my house? Are you adding to my peace? Which now builds a healthy relationship of more accountability. Like you said, let's get married and I'm accountable to these vows we took. I'm accountable to my child to make sure my child has a good role model. So accountability starts with communication, self-reflect. And from there, the sky's the limit. You can do anything once you got all that. This deep right here. I'm looking at that book on my mother's floor, say, free from bondage. Once you can release them past issues and set some standards, you can achieve anything.
Yep.
You know, man. This. So one last thing. What would you like? What would you share on the brothers? What would be the main part of accountability that you would say to brothers that's looking for a change?
If you feel as though you still are emotionally strapped, find out why.
Mm-hmm.
Dig deep into yourself and self-reflect and find out, why am I not willing to give myself emotionally to anybody? It don't even have to be a girlfriend or wife. Well, it has to be a wife.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, what is my relationship like with my mother? Is she an overbearing mother? Mm-hmm. Are you a coddled young man who every time your mother calls, you leave your wife and go run to your mother, even though your wife need you as well? You have to you have to figure out who you are as a man, so you can understand how to deal with everybody else. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't understand who you are, you can't really be with anybody else. Almost like, if you're not happy with self, how can you be happy with anybody else?
Yeah.
Because your happiness doesn't come from your wife or your kids or your job, how much money you make.
Internal.
It's internal. Because if you are satisfied, like when I was 425 pounds, you couldn't tell me nothing. You know what I mean? So, and in my mind, I was fine. Mm-hmm. So therefore, you can call me a fat mother, and I was like, okay, that's all you know about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obvious.
I'm
and I already know that.
I've come to terms with that.
Right. So now that, you know, that's where everybody has to get to. And I believe a lot of these young men have a lot of self-hate. Mm-hmm. Because anytime you can run up and kill your own, somebody that looks similar to you with no remorse, there's a lot of self-hate.
Built up hatred.
So young men, middle-aged men, old men who still have these problems with expressing their emotions without getting angry or shutting down, look within yourself and go find out why you do these things. Because I did.
Yeah.
And I understand why now. I understand now why I was shutting myself off emotionally and missing out on a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of times people are like, damn, he got an attitude. I don't really want to be around him. Yeah, we gonna have a family gathering, but I ain't calling him. Because, you know, toxicity is
anybody for all that.
Right. And it's almost like a disease. Mm-hmm. It's contagious.
Yeah. Well, they say one bad apple spoils the bunch.
That's right. Yeah. And a lot of times that's what happens. Just imagine when you go to the club, they start shooting. Fuck up the party.
Fuck up the whole party. Yeah.
All because
these
your ex is over there party having a good time with another dude, and you mad.
You disgruntled, you mad because you messed up.
Why was you in the club?
Yeah.
You wasn't in the club just to get some drinks. Nah. You was in there to check out
to do the same thing she doing.
So we all have to look into ourselves and look, I'm gonna be better for me. Mm-hmm. And when you be better for yourself, it's easy to be with other people, because even if they got the Louis Vuittons on, hey, I'm good with my Air Force. Hey, I'm good with my
my little Adidas slippers.
You know what I mean? That's why even with Kevin Hart, he says when he first started, he knew his bank account was set up different from the NBA players.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did. He said somebody rented out the whole Disney World.
Right. He said, the way my checking and savings is set up,
3 days.
Can't do it. So if you know emotionally you're not set up, like your homeboy and the lady you pursuing, you see that she happy with herself, she living a good life, she's emotionally vulnerable. Your homeboy, he living a good life, he happy, he good, and you trying to figure out like, well, why I ain't like that? Go find out.
Go find out.
Go find out.
Man, that's what's up, man. This has been a great episode, fellas. like he just said, go find out why you're not happy. Go find out why you stuck in a rut. Like he said before, it doesn't hurt to go get therapy, man. There's nothing taboo in therapy. I know we make it so a hush-hush, but at some point, therapy is good because you can release, you can talk to somebody, get a different perspective on this. Man, as always, T. Will, thanks for coming. Fellas, don't forget to click the like button, the subscribe button, and leave some comments. Oh, we have an event coming up July the 8th. Check out the website. I'm going to tag that on the post. And come out and see us sometime. Let's chop it up, man. Fellas, again, accountability is a must. Peace out. Stop.